All right, so we are going to start our miniature lightning talk session. And people will have at most 5 minutes. Is this up there? All right, first is Lenny Tatman.
Yep, perfect.
Talking about ZappyLab.
So you guys, some of you might have heard about PubChase, which is a literature personalized recommendation service. Personalized recommendation service, exactly like what Google Scholar does, but focused on biomedical literature, and you don't have to be a professor to use it. With publications as a student or as a postdoc, based on the papers that you read, it will recommend things to you. And Jonathan has blogged about it. The recommendations are good. And there are lots of things we've done in the publishing, scholarly communication, altmetrics things over the last 2 years. But what you don't know is why the company exists. And in fact, the PubChase part is actually a Trojan horse for what we would really like to do. And what we'd really like to do is attack the problem of the knowledge that perishes because we don't publish it. So the question that motivated the company is you spend 1.5 years of your life instead of a month optimizing and discovering a problem in a published method. Happened to me in my postdoc. You discover that a given step needs 10 microliters instead of 1 microliter of a reagent. Now you can do the work that you wanted to do. You share it with your lab. You call the inventor of the technique. What do you do? A, you can't get any credit for this. But B, how do you let the rest of the world, the people who are using this method, how do you let them know about your discovery? And this is a crowdsourced question. So what can you do? The protocol is wrong. It's published. It's wrong. One step of it is wrong. You fixed it. How do you tell the people who are using the protocol that the data they're getting are wrong? You can't. There is no way to do that. You could publish a +1 paper, but there are 600 citations to the original Nature Methods publication, and no one will ever look at your +1 paper. You can't go to Nature Methods and click an annotation and say, I think you need 30 degrees instead of 37. There is no way to do it. There is no central protocol repository. So ZappyLab, I co-founded it 2 years ago exactly to solve this problem. It's a hard problem. So how do you solve it? You can build a beautiful website. No one is going, you can't crowdsource without a crowd. How do you get the annotations into the central site? And that is not trivial. Our approach, so many people have tried it, our approach is to do it through mobile. So what we have built over the last 2 years is a mobile platform on Android and iOS. It's available for free. It includes a number of utilities. This is for biomedical scientists. It includes utilities that you can use as you're doing research. So there is a counter that replaces a $1,000 metal click counter device. All of this is free. No subscriptions, nothing to pay for downloads. There is a timer, so there's your PCR timer. You can use this as you work. Calculator for molarity that knows molecular weights of chemicals and helps you do the work. And a little mobile spreadsheet where you can keep track of growth curves, calculate doubling times of the time points that are relevant to you. So there's a number of utilities. Everything that you record as you are using these utilities goes into a little journal. You can export it by email to yourself, so you have all of the results. And I already mentioned that we build PubChase, which gives you personalized recommendations, or you can view things by topic. It's really good. Why did we do this? The reason we've done it, the Trojan horse, the app that started the company is here, protocols. So here's a running protocol. This is a cooking recipe checklist app. Reagents that I'm using, how much of which to add. As I'm working with a protocol, it tells me here's a timer. I can start a timer, say I'm done with the step. And as I'm going through, it just tells me what I've done, what's next. It's a checklist for protocols. And we just released it 3 days ago, beta version of protocols.io. That's going to be the protocol repository. We need to seed it. there's something that we need to do. So here is the information. Everything in the app is cloud synchronized, so everything you store is available on all of your devices. It's on the web. Same with PubChase, same with the journal results, same with the protocols. And the key thing here is it's not about the app, it's not about the protocol repository, the website, it's about connecting. So what we really want, and what we're building next over the next few months, is the ability to tap on a step in here and say, actually, in my version of the protocol, in my species, it's 30 degrees instead of 37. So what we want to do, as soon as you correct that, we give you a share button. You click that, that will go to the protocol repository, and from there, it will instantly go to everybody who is using your protocol. Right? So that's been our approach, and that's exactly what we're aiming for. I'm done, almost. One more slide. This is done. This is done. Oh, come on. This is done thanks to amazing co-founders and an incredible panel of people who have been helping us, donating their time, and helping with the engineering of the iOS, the Android. We take user interface really seriously because that's critical here. If it's not blindingly obvious and easy to submit the changes and visualize them, you failed. This will not work. And as I mentioned, PubChase is free, protocol repository is free, the apps are free. So if you let people know that we are running a Kickstarter campaign to link the app and the website and to complete that circle that we've been talking about, this was approved yesterday. That's why it's rather low at the moment. But this is what we've been doing. And over the next few months, you should see the completion of the circle so that we'll be able to actually do the crowdsourcing. That's it.
If there are any questions, you can ask them while Tim comes up.
Walk slowly.
All right. Next up is Tim Bynes. You want to tell us about
Okay.
Axios? Is it
Axios, yeah. So it's been amazing sitting in this conference that independent peer review services were sort of mentioned as this sort of, also ran idea in the sort of great ecosystem of new ideas in science publishing. My prediction I was going to make today is that in 5 years, they're going to be one of the main things people are talking about. They're going to become extremely important because, let me explain to you why. So a lot of the time, the journal I work on day to day is molecular ecology. It's a big evolutionary biology journal, and we reject a lot of papers. In 6 years of working for this journal, I've rejected about 7,000 papers. And a lot of the time, we are rejecting papers that are fine. There's nothing actually wrong with them that can't be fixed. And so we kick the paper out, and it goes to another journal. Another 3 reviewers look it over and say, well, it doesn't fit in this journal either, and so it gets rejected and goes somewhere else. And this is not an efficient use of the community's time to keep evaluating a paper very carefully for its deficits and qualities, and then answer the question, does it fit? And so it's part of this idea of separating the assessment for quality and fit, is that you have an independent editorial board as the first place that the paper is submitted. And authors submit to this with a ranked list of 4 target journals. And the paper is assigned to an editor. The editor picks reviewers in the same way a normal journal article would be treated, and the reviewers evaluate it. And they also evaluate it for quality in the same way they normally would, but then they also comment on not only it's just fit for that journal, but fit for journal A, for journal B, for journal C, for journal D. The editor brings those opinions together and says, okay, on the strength of this, we don't think journal A is going to be interested in this paper. Journal A is very high profile, it's not going to be interested in this piece of work. However, journal B might be interested. So journal B is sent a pre-submission inquiry. Would you like this paper to be revised and submitted to you? And we send along the reviews, send along the names of the reviewers, and we also send along the manuscript itself, pretty much as if the journal had actually reviewed it itself. And they are then able to make a very considered judgment about whether or not they want to see the new version of the paper. If it's not something they're interested in, they say, no, we don't want this, and we take it to journal C. If they say yes, authors revise and submit. And they include a response to reviewers as a supplemental file, so the journal can see how the paper has changed. And then the journal could say, well, this is fine, we really respect the reviewers who evaluated the paper, and we think they thought it was great, and so we're just going to accept it without further external review. That's great. They might also send it back out for review. They might send it to the same reviewers. They might send it to different reviewers. It's fine if they do that, because some papers need 2 rounds of review. And what this does is it solves this conundrum that academics continually fight with, is that they have to get publications in high-profile journals to get their career along. They have no choice, especially junior academics. And so sure, the time will come when maybe that isn't true, but at the moment it's true. But when they try to shoot high with their paper, they continually run the risk of their paper bouncing around and needing to be reformatted and rejected, reformatted and rejected. 18 months, 2 years, and it can be very, very draining on the academic. It's also draining on the journals, because they're dealing with a lot of papers that are below their threshold. And so what we do is, after 4 to 6 weeks in review with us, we have found the best possible journal that is interested in the author's paper, that said, yeah, this is potentially publishable. And to give you an impression of how much difference that makes, for a journal like Molecular Ecology, something like 20 to 30% of the direct submissions, the initial submissions to the journal, make it in to being published. However, if you've seen external reviews of the paper and looked and seen the manuscript and said, okay, we think this is probably publishable, send a new version in, i.e. we give them a reject, encourage, resubmission decision. At the end of that, when they resubmit, those papers have about a 75% acceptance rate, because you're not getting rejected on scope, you're not getting rejected on novelty, it's just about the quality of the revision. And so that makes a big difference. And so this is I've set this up, this organization exists, it's called Axios Review. And we're currently just working in ecology and evolution, but we will be expanding out to other areas in due course. And I think this is going to be very important, because it maintains the current strengths of the journal ecosystem, so that people can know what they're reading when they're reading a paper. The current community understands what it means to read a molecular ecology paper. They understand what it means when you're reading an evolution paper. But it also gets rid of this endless, or the community spending time evaluating the same paper again and again for different outlets, when the paper's not really changing all that much, and it's just where it is that's being evaluated for. So my feeling is that this is going to actually have a very profound effect on how much time the community spends evaluating research. Okay, I'm done.
We're going to stand. All right. This is the last lightning talk. It's a team talk. So I'm not sure what they're going to do here.
It's just the mental support.
The postdoc representatives.
So yeah, hi, my name's Ben, and I'm from UW 5810. We're a postdoc union, and maybe you might wonder what does a union do on such an event? Well, if you want to know more about us, you can just go to our website, UW 5810. And what we do, we represent...
It's a .org.
Yeah, .org. Google it. I think you're going to find it. So why we're here? Because we actually represent like 6,000 postdocs at UC, which is like 10% of nationwide postdocs. And of course, we're interested like what the discourse is about, like how we're going to be assessed in future and how we are assessed right now, because it's our future you're actually talking about. So we want to have a little bit of a say, and we also, of course, want to be part of this movement of this reassessment away from impact factor to like more specific, actually what you actually do. Because we, for example, also just volunteer our time. We don't get any reward for what we do, really. So I think it's a very important factor, because I think it will also encourage people more to invest time otherwise. So, and maybe also comes to like to Jonathan's question he posed at the end, like we are here to form connections with other people, because we want to carry this message to these postdocs at UC and hopefully also nationwide. So I give you a brief update what we're doing, like what we are. So we are part of UAW, which is a big union. We gain strength from this, and we also think that we also part of a broader social justice movement, which, for example, worked with MLK previously, and we are for a better future. And we also think this is very important in the academic sector, which is a highly precarious working conditions, and I think union could contribute, or for postdocs, they already do contribute actually for better working conditions, better salaries, better benefits, and so we could actually focus on this stuff we love to do with this research and put it out there. So that's the reason why a couple of postdocs came together in 2008 and said, yeah, we would like to have a union, we would like to bargain with UC, I would like to improve the lives of all the postdocs here, because we thought we would be underpaid and not really valued. So this, after long negotiation, which involved like senators, congressmen, and like other people, actually came to the table with UC, and we ratified a contract which was like approved in August 2010, and that was our first contract, and it was the first standalone contracts for postdoc, like globally. So we also see us in a kind of historic, like, yeah, it's a historic perspective. Like if we fail, maybe like nobody else is gonna try it again, but if we are successful, like we're gonna move on. So what we actually improved, like of course we're a union, so a lot of stuff we do is like revolved around labor. So I'll just give a couple of examples. Now we have a big fixed minimum pay scale, so all postdocs have to get paid a minimum wage at UC, which wasn't the case before. Like some postdocs were paid like $18,000 a year. Yeah, make a living of this. And we also coupled this minimum pay to the NIH pay scale. So when NIH pay scale goes up, our pay scale goes up as well. And just recently, like a couple of days ago, there was a 7% increase. So now all postdocs that you see at the entry level earn 7% more, which is a pretty good deal. Then we also ensure that all postdocs get benefits. And this was especially critical for people who come from abroad with their own fellowships. University often told them, or the PI, you're not covered for the benefits, you have to pay your own benefits, which is kind of absurd. If you bring your own money already, you have to pay even more for it. Yeah. So we also have a case to actually enforce the contract, and in addition, we improved like the day off, sick leave. We have like kind of maternity leave now, but it can be like marginally improved.
Work in progress.
Work in progress. So what we do also, so we already improved the working and living conditions for all the postdocs, but we also like listen to the postdocs what they actually want to improve, and one of these factors like better childcare and paternity leave. Like, so 80% of we had a survey recently, and 80% of the postdocs, for example, said they delayed getting a child because they're a postdoc and because they couldn't afford it. Well, you have to live with that, and also 10% of the postdocs said the new people in academia or at UC who left academia because they couldn't afford it, like to have another child, or they could have a child at all, and they wanted to have like a family. So I think that's a significant amount of money, amount of people which you just lose and out of the pipeline, and you want to improve this. And our next contract negotiation that's one of our strong point, and of course we would also like support from the wider community to achieve these goals, because we're setting standards like nationwide and internationally. Then what we're also interested in is like science funding, so we promote science funding at Washington. We go to Washington, we talk to senators, we talk with congressmen. Last year we had a petition where we had like 35 congressmen and women to sign up for reduced science funding cuts, so to contain the sequester. We went to Washington, and we also have this campaign where you can put your face to it and put your own like reason why you should support science funding. And the last point I would like to mention is that we, of course, are interested in the assessment, and a lot of postdocs come to us with they think they're treated unfairly by their PIs. They're not like into order. They're not rewarded for what they do. They just strain off the pipeline as well. And that's also the point, like, okay, you can talk about metrics and alter metrics, but you have to ensure that these metrics actually capture what's really going on. To ensure that people get fairly rewarded for what they do. And in our broader context, we're not working against UC or anything like this. We want, together with the broader community, with UC, actually to make this whole a better place, more productive science. And I think also UC, for example, has a leading role in this, because 67% of the postdocs are actually international. And I think this whole open access movement is like kind of an American thing, like very concentrated here. Well, we are here and talk with you. And we want to like carry this like better working conditions, a better pay, but also like better assessment and better open access to this community who later on goes out into the world, goes back home, maybe becomes leaders in their fields in different countries, maybe with the idea you can do it differently. And so, yeah, if you want to work with us, we think it would be a great way to disseminate the knowledge.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Ben Kane. I'm a postdoc in physics here at Davis.
I'm Scanning. My field is animal science.
And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to grab us.
All right, and that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for staying after most people tried to beat traffic. And that's it.